What's up guys, it's Crash and thank you guys so much for the support on the last Gray Zone Warfare video. With that being said, we have another one for you here today with a new update that just came out from Gray Zone Warfare over on the Steam page. It's some more information about the gameplay features and kind of breaks them down. And why I think this is really good is because there's been a lot of features and things and parts about the game, about the gameplay that have been floating around, and we haven't always known exactly when that's going to be. Is that part of the early access period? Is that something that's a goal for full release? That's what they're after, you know, in the in game. So what they did was they kind of took all this information that's been floating around and broke it down into two categories in this blog post over on Steam. We can see that they have the planned state for full release and then what you can expect with early access. So as you guys have learned what we do on this channel, I have the information and I want to get it to you as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Also, towards the end of the video, there's a little bit of information about when we might see some gameplay. So let's start at the top of the article, get through it, and see what you guys think down in the comments below. I think that'd be perfect. So what they went into first was the planned state of full release. It's basically a bullet point of the features that they want to be in Gray Zone Warfare when the game is at what I would consider to be 1.0, right? So they want to complete the map featuring all locations and diverse biomes. When they talked about that last dev interview that we made the last video about, they talked about how they're going to be gradually adding to the map throughout early access in the lead up to 1.0, and they want there to be, you know, kind of some big giant areas that you can go to, kind of where your quests and missions and stuff are going to be, but also every couple hundred meters be some small little outposts, small little villages and buildings where you can loot and get stuff if you need to, if the chips are kind of low. And then the next thing that was mentioned was the hazardous ground zero area. That's going to be towards the end game with in-game enemies and new storylines towards the middle of the map. We mentioned in the last video that this is going to be opened up after all the rest of the pillars of the game are going to be complete. That's when that middle part of the map is going to open up, where I'm guessing the main storyline quest is going to potentially lead you to. And then they're going to be working on throughout early access to get different types of AI behaviors based on enemy type, situation, time, or weather conditions. So they're going to keep continuously working on the AI, and for full release they want to have all those behaviors in with the AI. They want to have faction-based AI in the final release and its own agenda involving quests, patrolling, scavenging, and attacking others. That's been one of the things I've talked about, and I haven't been sure if it's early access or not, but they want the AI to be doing their own thing, and you can kind of decide how to interact with them later, rather than in some other games where AI just check their mags, eat some Tashanka, walk around, and back and forth and yell things. So I hope they can get that completed. Factions featuring progression systems and diverse reputations. They want to kind of bring some of those MMO aspects into the game. Immersive environmental storytelling featuring mature and engaging plots. So what I think is going to happen, we know that there's going to be around 150 quests at launch. I'm guessing they want to keep adding to those, and we'll definitely hit that in this next one, where they talk about advanced quest system encompassing both a main and side storyline quests. So it really sounds like they want a deep progression system with a lot of quests, side quests, and the main quest, trying to figure out what kind of weird event happened on the island of Lemang. They want to have game-changing, captivating seasonal events. Now, I hadn't heard this one, and I've always been in my mind when we're talking about this game, like what's going to keep, if you beat the game, if you figure out kind of what happened, if you beat all the enemies in Ground Zero, what is there left for you to do? That's always been an inherent issue with extraction shooters or survival shooters, in my opinion. Kind of what is the end game, and seeing that they're planning on having, you know, seasonal events and things that are game-changing, right? Potentially meta-changing seasonal events. That's a big plus in my book. That's going to add that longevity, that replayability in the end game if you've kind of beat everything. Dynamic weather changing the gameplay experience. So I think that's really good. That's immersive. We see that in a lot of games. So implemented here is great. An accelerated day-night cycle. We talked in that last dev interview. One of the things they talked about being one of the first updates is adding that day-night cycle, having those thermals, those nods, the night vision and stuff like that to be able to, you know, have some high tier loot, because thermals in the jungle, lots of vegetation at night, seeing those heat signatures through the leaves, going to be super strong. So they're going to be adding the day-night cycle allegedly pretty quick. A unique skill system based on the player's achievements and not a grind. So they talked about in the first devlog, the example they gave was sniping. If you want to get, you know, your sniper skill leveled up, you actually have to complete missions using a sniper rifle, and then more quests will open up to you. You have to go to like maybe a quote unquote kind of sniper school and learn it, rather than just running around woods reloading your Mosin to up your sniper, you know, level, just like other games. It's not necessarily a grind. It's kind of more of a story if you want to progress and get achievements. A customizable quote unquote hooch, which is your player based quarters. They want to have your own base within the persistent servers that you can move and customize yourself. I think that would be really neat. Enhanced weapon customization. So it sounds like there's going to be some customization early access, and they're going to continue to expand upon that as we get closer to 1.0. fully customizable gear. I really like this. I hope it comes sooner rather than later. Having everyone with a unique look, being able to recognize your friends, your squad that you play with, right off the bat, just looking at them, you can tell, hey, that's my guy. That would be awesome when it comes to the crazy gunfights that are going to happen within the jungle, and a complex trading system for players. Now, this one's a little sketchy. Is it going to be flea market? Doesn't sound like it. That's the one they have to be careful with. You guys know how much a player trading space, how much the flea market actually just really changes how Tarkov was and has been played since it was introduced. So that's one that I'm going to be keeping a close eye on, and I think they really need to be careful with. They also said new features sparked by input and desires of the community. So if you are interested in giving feedback, even now, if there's stuff that's on your mind that would be cool in a game that's like this or in the early access, you can join the Discord, and they're actually fairly responsive over there on the Discord. So I encourage you to do that, because they say there could be other new features sparked by input and desires of the community. So that's really cool. That sounds like that's their vision. That's like the feature list for 1.0. When they're ready to do the full release of the game, that's what they're shooting for. In the meantime, what can we expect in early access? I think it's really important to break this down so our expectations are kind of where they should be, right? Because we've heard a lot of really cool things floating around about this game. So let's get it in check and see what we're going to see at early access. There's going to be 3 distinct PMC factions supporting 48 players in total, with 16 players per faction. That means you're going to have up to 32 potential PvP enemies on the 42 square kilometer open world of Lemang, based on a real location, showcasing an unprecedented representation of jungle. We know that they're working with Unreal 5. They have their own proprietary system that's working on rendering of the vegetation. So we should see a really cool Unreal Engine 5 version of a jungle. Going to be ruthless AI behavior with hundreds of enemies reacting to players' moves through actions and emotions. So the AI is getting going. It's going to be playable, play againstable, I guess would be the correct term, if I can make one up out of my butt. Complex external and terminal ballistic simulation for realistic shooting experience. We are allegedly supposed to hear about that very soon. Comprehensive simulation of realistic firearm recoil based on real world data. An innovative health system that intricately simulates even bodily cavities and damage effects. So we've talked about that in the last one. A network of 6 unique vendors offering 150 quests in total. 8 highly customizable weapons with over 400 interchangeable parts. So there's the first time we got an actual weapon total. Sounds like there's going to be 8 weapons with a lot of interchangeable parts at the beginning, hoping they build on that rather quickly. There's going to be a diverse array of over 80 equipable gear items for tactical advantage. So we talked about those in the last one, how most of the items in there are based off real world items that they actually scanned using some photogrammetric technology to kind of make their own assets. So these should be unique stuff you haven't seen in other games before. An engaging interconnected player progression system. So to see progression already early access is a really good sign. Detailed character creation and extensive apparel customizing options. Again, see what I said in the first one, that's really cool for unique looks. Formidable squads allowing for up to 4 members for coordinated gameplay, so you can have 3 of your friends or play solo. It's going to be a little easier with friends based on the health system that we've talked about. The integrated social features including friends, VoIP, and messenger for enhanced player interaction. I'm going to try not to insert a Battlefield 2042 reference where they launched a team squad-based game in a AAA space with no VoIP like Battlefield 2042 did, but here we're getting it in early access. So I think that's really good. It's important. You're going to need that VoIP, that proximity chat, because we learned that this is going to be really diverse. It's not really pushing for PvP. So communication between other PMCs and stuff like that is going to be crucial to see how some of these interactions play out whenever you're going after your missions and run across some other players. So just a couple more things that they addressed, including gameplay. Will it be priced differently in early access? They said yes, early access will be lower than that of final release, and they haven't determined final pricing as of yet. And again, planning of the community in the development process, join the Discord if you are interested in giving some feedback. I encourage that. And then about gameplay, they said, we know you are all interested in the raw gameplay footage. You'll have to wait a bit longer for that, but it's just around the corner. Thank you for being with us. So any day now, any week now, we are hoping for some raw gameplay where we can break down something like a mission or just see something about the gameplay loop and how that looks. So that pretty much sums up all the information in this Steam community post, and I think it's really, really good communication. I know me, you, everyone is really, really excited to see some gameplay. We're really needing to see some gameplay, at least a little bit of working on the missions, just some resemblance of how the gameplay loop is going to look. But we've heard a lot of stuff floating around, and I appreciate nonetheless the communication from this dev team to be able to see all this stuff kind of floating around and then have it very clearly broken down into this is what we're going to see, or this is what we're shooting for 1.0, and this is what you can expect in early access. I think this is some really important information to keep our expectations in check, right? We know we can look at this list. This is what early access is going to look like. I think whenever we see gameplay soon, this is also going to put a little bit of that into context. We kind of know, hey, this is early access gameplay. We're going to get this list of features. We're working towards this list of features. So this kind of sets the stage where the game's at. Now we should be seeing some gameplay soon and kind of see where everything goes forward. I know early access from other games, even recently, has kind of given a sour taste in gamers' mouths when you hear that term early access. So I think it really helps with the presentation of it when you have a clear end goal, right? We've not always known what the early access even means. In this case, we have a starting line and we have a very clear finish line. So I think this communication is really important. I think the information in this video is really important when it comes to Gray Zone Warfare, because it just sets the stage for everything, shows us where we're at, shows us where we're headed, and hopefully we can keep those expectations in check and really see some gameplay soon. Please, Rick, Mara, Madfinger, please, all of us, show us some gameplay, man. We'd love to see it. So guys, thank you for sticking with me to the end of the video. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for all the support recently with the Gray Zone Warfare content. I will be bringing you information as soon as I can. As soon as I get it, I will relay it to you guys, hopefully in a conversational and efficient fashion. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.